Okay, so I've been getting a lot of questions of when you can't use a rinseless wash. So for me, I about 90% of the time am going with a rinseless wash, meaning one bucket. I have my wash media with optimum no rinse, and I'm using just one wash mitt and I'm rinsing it and I'm washing it with that method. I'm not using soap. I'm not using I'm not foaming it down first. I'm literally just washing and drying in 1 or 2 steps. So people want to know, like, hey, when can I use a rinseless? When can I use a waterless? And when do I have to actually use a pressure washer? Basically going to come down to how thick the layer of dirt or grime or what type of gunk is on the surface. So like with this vehicle here, I would easily say this passes for a waterless wash, meaning you're just going to be spraying the cleaner on here and then wiping it down, because it's not that bad. As long as you're using slow motions, soft motions, and wiping it down, you're gonna be okay, because you're not gonna be pulling off much debris from here. Now, where it gets a little tricky is like if it's completely corrected, the tiers of how you judge that is gonna be different. Meaning, if this vehicle has not been polished, it's completely swirled up, and you want to go with a waterless method, well, it's going to be okay, because even if you do add a few imperfections into the paint in itself is already not perfect, so it's not going to be much of a difference. Whereas if it is corrected and coated and then you're going to go for a waterless method, you want to work on a vehicle that's less dirty than what you would if the paint isn't corrected. Hopefully that made sense. So here with this vehicle, you could easily get away with a waterless method. This is a Quasar bottle. I've had 2 of these in my lifetime, both of which I've accidentally dropped the bottle and broken off the nozzle. What are the odds of that happening? So here you can easily get away with a waterless wash with almost no problem. And even if it was corrected, you would not be seeing, at least in my opinion, many swirls or scratches, because what you would be using a higher quality towel. This is just for demonstration purposes, and this vehicle is not corrected or coated, because it's not even like a light dust. It's just like a little bit of pollen. So you can easily get away with just a rinseless wash here. Again, it's pretty easy. Like, there is a little bit of a light layer. You just gotta rinse it down or spray it down. And a pump sprayer would work 1,000 times better here. This is just what I'm using right now. But you would just want to use a pump sprayer to make this go a lot faster. And with just ever so slightly, with just the lightest pressure, you want to just wipe in one direction, flip it over to the next side, to the next clean side, and just very gently wipe it over. And once you see it's getting dirty, you flip over. You can even spray some more if you want, and you're gonna keep on going very gently over and over. And it is picking up gunk, but you just want to make sure that when you start wiping again, it's not on this line, so you can move it forward and get on the clean side. And now you have 2 spots that you've cleaned. I guess you can probably get 1 more out of it like this. So now we have 3 different wipes: 1 wipe, 2 wipe, 3 wipes right here. When you flip it over, and now that we've cleaned most of it, you can literally just spray it down 1 more time, just very gently. Go back to your clean side, whatever clean side that is. I'm just doing this super quick to show you guys. And then you can just wipe it down. And then you can have a secondary towel. This towel is used just to wipe off the excess and to remove the streaks, because you are now drying it. There we are. You can definitely get away with just a waterless on this type of vehicle. Okay, now so with this vehicle, I would say it's too far gone for a waterless wash with no intervention, if that's the right word that I'm using. Meaning, like, if I were to just spray it down, the chances of me adding swirls and scratches to the paint, assuming it was corrected, this one is not, assuming it was corrected, is much higher, because the thickness and the amounts of dirt and debris that's stuck on here is much higher, as you can see here. Now there might be some people that say you can still get away with this if it's not corrected and you're just gonna do a waterless wash, you could definitely get away with it. But here with this vehicle, with the level of condition that it's on, I would definitely say this is more of a rinseless wash. And if you want to take it a step further and you still want to do a waterless wash, not so much about a waterless wash or a rinseless wash, you would just pressure wash it first if you have that option, knock off the gunk, and then go into your waterless or rinseless. So with this one here specifically, I would do a rinseless wash. So again, some people might say a waterless is still acceptable here. That's, you know, your judgment call. Again, if it's not corrected, you have a bit more leeway. But here, personally, I would go with a rinseless wash. And if I have the chance, if you have the tools available, I would first pressure wash it. Not foam it down, just pressure wash it, and then go into your rinseless wash. Now, of course, you can easily go with your traditional wash here too, where you're using a soap and bucket. Whether it's 1 bucket or 2 bucket wash method, that's up to you. That's not this conversation here. But here you could obviously always go with your traditional soap wash method, because that's going to add a lot more lubricity, and it is just like a good answer as well. But here, so as far as the rinseless wash, I have 1 wash mitt with O&R, and here, let's say you can't or you just don't want to, you literally just swipe very gently. Like, there's absolutely 0 pressure being put on this vehicle. Wipe it. And then if also, like, there's just so many variations. If before you dunk the wash mitt back into your bucket, you could have your second wash mitt and rinse it out there. You could just have a garden hose and spray it into the wash mitt and rinse it and wring it out, and before you dump it back into your solution. So plenty of options to go with. I'm just quickly showing you and giving you a demonstration. I just personally think that a rinseless wash is so much faster and just gives you and it's easier to do compared to a waterless wash, just because with a waterless you need so many towels. Again, I wouldn't be using this towel, this is just for demonstration. You just get so much, it's faster, easier to do. You don't have to worry about as many towels while you're doing a waterless versus a rinseless wash. And yeah, so that's why I always choose a rinseless over a waterless. But again, you know, it just depends on the condition that you're working on. But by default, I'm always going with a rinseless wash. Unless it really needs it, and I have to pressure wash it. If it really needs it, I'll pressure wash it and then go with a traditional wash method. Or after I pressure wash it, I'll just use a rinseless. Last time I've actually did a waterless wash on a vehicle was years ago. So many towels, I just didn't like it, and I'm now with rinseless. Again, just as a quick little demo, like, it just goes so much faster because you're not worried about like being super gentle with every wipe. You don't have to fold it every single time. Like with a rinseless, you can just go straight into the wash, right? Again, I'm using no pressure here whatsoever. Like, there's no pressure being done on this wash mitt, on this washing process right here. Obviously this side is dirty, so you just flip it. And to be fair, the dirt actually isn't all that crazy, like stuck on here. And just like that, we'll dunk it back in here, rinse it out, and that basically completes this portion. I'm gonna just do this, I'm not gonna do the whole thing, but it's that quick. And then you have your drying towel. You know, this is just for demonstration purposes. You'd have your actual drying towel here, and you would completely wipe this down. All right, and that's gonna wrap up the video. Hopefully that gave you some more insight, or that helped you to some capacity on determining when you should use a waterless versus a rinseless. I didn't put too much debate or tips on the actual traditional wash, which is like a, you know, foaming, a soapy solution that foams, or foaming it down, just because you can really do that at any point. And if it is corrected and coated, you want to touch it at, you know, the least amount that you can. So it actually does make sense to rinse it, foam it, and if that's enough, just air dry it and then go on about your day, because it's, you know, it's corrected and such. So it's mostly going to come down to the condition of the paint and the condition of the vehicle itself in terms of how dirty it is. If it's corrected and coated, you want to go with the safer option, which would probably be rinseless before waterless. Or you can foam it down and go the full way, rinse it, and maybe even not even touch it, air dry it. And that's probably the best bet to not add any sort of scratches. But me personally, even on the corrected cars that I work on, I don't do that. I still do a rinseless. I just pressure wash it first, make sure there's no gunk on there, and then just do a rinseless wash. And I've been okay with that option, as well as many others out there that do this as a business. So again, I leave your input below on what you do Do you do rinseless? Do you do waterless? Do you always foam it down? Do you rinse it down? Do you pressure wash first? What do you do? There's no right or wrong answer. It's just what gives you the results that you want based on what you're working on. That's really all that matters. Don't get into an argument of like, this is the exact best way every single time, because it's just simply not true. So hopefully they helped you out. I'll see you on the next one.